Sylvester Stallone has weathered countless battles both on-screen and off, but his unexpected clash with late-night host Jimmy Kimmel sparked a firestorm nobody saw coming. This drama wasn't just about a few stray jokes. It exposed the deeper cracks in Hollywood's carefully polished image. Over the next several minutes, you'll discover how one sharp monologue triggered a legendary star's scorching response, why late-night TV might never be the same, and the surprising reason Stallone's authenticity is winning him new fans. Stay tuned, because the final twist may catch everyone off guard. It began like any other evening in late-night television. Jimmy Kimmel, renowned for blending pop culture news with biting humor, took the stage, ready to share his monologue. As the audience settled in, few realized that one of Hollywood's most iconic figures would soon be his target. The focus of Kimmel's jab was Sylvester Stallone's open support for Donald Trump, an issue that had briefly popped up in headlines. While political jokes are Kimmel's bread and butter, this particular quip felt more personal. He not only teased Stallone for backing a controversial political figure, but also tied in cracks about the star's mental acuity, suggesting that all those on-screen punches as Rocky might have dulled Stallone's judgment. At first glance, it was the kind of routine ribbing that mainstream hosts aim at public personalities. Audiences chuckled politely, and the show moved on to its next segment. But people soon noticed something deeper brewing. Kimmel implied Stallone was blindly worshipping a polarizing leader, as though the actor were incapable of thoughtful opinions. That one line opened a broader conversation about Hollywood's habit of labeling anyone straying from its preferred narrative as fair game. If you're not aligned with the mainstream stance, your credibility is suddenly a punching bag. No nuance, no real discourse, just a quick laugh and applause. Typically, viewers might shrug off such a dig. However, Stallone isn't your average celebrity. He comes from a background of scrappy determination, writing the original Rocky script when nobody else believed in his vision. If there's one thing Stallone knows, it's how to fight back, especially when he feels singled out. Within hours, this seemingly harmless joke transformed into something far more explosive. But that was only round one of this showdown. When Stallone learned of Kimmel's barbs, many observers expected a muted response. After all, plenty of stars would just shrug and let the moment pass. Yet Stallone proved once again that he never follows the script. He took to social media with a short video that combined dry wit, self-awareness, and a hint of old-school showmanship. He kicked things off by addressing Kimmel directly, almost as if speaking to a friendly rival in a boxing ring. "Okay, my big muscular friend, I saw you the other night making fun of me." The tone was playful, yet unmistakably pointed. Stallone went on to joke about writing a new sequel, just for Kimmel, referencing his famously panned 1992 comedy, Stop, or My Mom Will Shoot. Renaming it Stop, or Your Grandmother Will Beat Your Ass, he flipped what was once a professional sore spot into a punchline, suggesting that Kimmel himself might need some cautionary discipline. Beyond the humor, Stallone's real message was piercing. Rather than hurling pure insults, he highlighted the broader hypocrisy in late-night TV. He noted how these shows thrive on predictable jabs at those who think differently, often without inviting real debate. Stallone pointed out that while Kimmel can take cheap shots behind a desk, true Hollywood storytelling demands risk, creativity, and a willingness to stand outside the box. This moment set social media ablaze. Influential figures began reposting Stallone's video, praising his calm composure. Fans around the world applauded how he transformed Kimmel's joke into a stepping stone for a larger conversation. The legendary actor wasn't merely trading jabs, he was underscoring the power of authenticity. But Stallone's jabs at Hollywood hypocrisy were just getting started. Beneath this squabble, a heavier issue emerged: the shrinking room for diversity of thought in Hollywood. Stallone leveraged the Kimmel controversy to point out how the very spirit of creativity, once central to filmmaking, has been overshadowed by caution and conformity. According to Stallone, the film industry used to welcome bold ideas. Now, it's so risk-averse that groundbreaking scripts like the original Rocky might never see the light of day. He explained that many studios shy away from complex or edgy projects for fear of backlash. Instead, they churn out remakes, spin-offs, or safe stories engineered not to offend. And when someone like Stallone dares to voice a slightly off-mainstream viewpoint, certain segments of Hollywood jump at the chance to belittle them. Stallone openly questioned whether the industry that once championed bold statements has become a place where creativity is stifled if it doesn't fit the approved narrative. Though Stallone's remarks were sparked by Kimmel's monologue, they tapped into a broader frustration. Writers, directors, and up-and-coming actors echoed his concerns, revealing that even behind closed doors, they feel pressured to self-censor. The quest for genuine expression, Stallone suggested, often collides with an environment terrified of controversy. The tension is unmistakable. It's about more than a few nasty jokes. It's a tug-of-war over who controls the stories Hollywood tells. As Stallone's feud with Kimmel raged on, many wondered, is this just a clash of egos or the start of a cultural shift? Before long, the late-night world found itself under a microscope. Jimmy Kimmel has long reigned as a late-night personality who isn't shy about mixing comedy with political commentary. But in recent years, viewers have questioned whether he and other hosts have lost their edge. Their monologues tend to strike the same chords, safe targets who spark predictable laughs, supported by an audience ready to applaud jokes that rarely break new ground. Kimmel's remark about Stallone feeling punch-drunk from playing Rocky was a prime example of low-hanging fruit. Instead of engaging with Stallone's perspective, Kimmel resorted to making him look out of touch. This isn't unfamiliar territory for late-night television. Hosts often poke fun at public figures. However, the real problem arises when they seem to go after anyone who veers from the mainstream without offering them a chance to explain or defend themselves. Then the story took another twist. Rumor had it Kimmel's team approached Stallone about appearing on the show, but with the condition that the host and producers would control the conversation. Stallone reportedly refused. As he explained later, there's no point stepping into a ring where your opponent has pre-written all the dialogue and stacked the deck in their favor. Almost overnight, fans started challenging the legitimacy of late-night TV. If open debate isn't possible, what's the point of these shows? They wondered whether hosts like Kimmel are willing to hold real conversations at all, or if they just want to keep the jokes flowing uninterrupted. This skepticism ballooned, and soon the broader public was scrutinizing late-night TV's relevance. But the real impact of Stallone's stand wasn't just on Kimmel, it was on the audience at home. In the digital age, celebrity feuds rarely stay confined to the people involved. The moment Stallone posted his counterpunch online, social media lit up. Platforms like Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram became battlegrounds for fans to weigh in. Hashtags praising Stallone's authenticity trended, while Kimmel supporters insisted he was just doing his job. One viral tweet read, "Kimmel can keep calling Sly out of touch, but only one of them created a cultural icon like Rocky." Others described Stallone as a breath of fresh air in an industry where many stars tiptoe around controversy. Memes flooded in, including reworked movie posters showing Stallone knocking out late-night television. Outside of the comedic jabs, thoughtful discussions emerged about the state of free expression in Hollywood. Some fans recalled how Rocky was a gamble nobody believed in. They saw parallels between Stallone's underdog story back then and his willingness to speak out now. A wave of admiration for the actor's resilience swept across social media, reminding everyone that true star power doesn't rely on endorsements from late-night hosts. Meanwhile, Kimmel found himself under a different spotlight. Critics and fans alike questioned why he targeted Stallone's political stance rather than inviting a real conversation. Others demanded Kimmel address the broader points about censorship. Instead, he mostly stuck to his usual routine, hoping the drama would fade. Yet, the internet has a long memory, and each new wave of Stallone's popularity brought the issue roaring back. Amid all this, Stallone had another ace up his sleeve. While late-night TV seems increasingly staged, Stallone took a different route to connect with audiences: The Family Stallone. This reality series gave fans a glimpse of the actor's private life. Instead of scripted interviews or orchestrated crowd reactions, viewers saw Stallone as a husband, father, and everyday person, navigating normal family challenges. Clips of him joking around in the kitchen or offering fatherly advice to his children quickly spread across social media. Fans who only knew him from his tough guy roles marveled at his warmth. The show's natural vibe contrasted sharply with late-night standard format. Here was a Hollywood icon inviting cameras into his home, not a polished host steering conversations away from uncomfortable topics. The timing couldn't have been better. People already admired Stallone's no-nonsense reaction to Kimmel's digs. Now they saw him being real, unguarded, and candid. That authenticity fueled the show's success, driving more viewers to tune in each week. Suddenly, it wasn't Kimmel's jabs that people were talking about. It was the heartfelt father-daughter banter or Stallone's reflections on his career. If Kimmel hoped to paint Stallone as delusional or outdated, The Family Stallone told a different story. Every viral clip reinforced the narrative that Stallone was just a straightforward guy who happened to be an international superstar. Unsurprisingly, critics labeled the show more more genuine than anything on late-night TV, adding to the wave of skepticism about the medium's future. But the challenges facing late night go beyond one feud. Audiences are changing their habits, and fast. In an era where YouTube and podcast platforms can pull millions of views, the traditional late-night format is under siege. The brief, humor-laced interviews that once captivated mass audiences now feel limited. People crave unfiltered conversations and in-depth exploration of ideas, something that a 5-minute guest segment can't deliver. Stallone recognized this change. Instead of waiting for a heavily scripted spot on Kimmel's couch, he leveraged social media and independent podcasts to speak his mind. He showed up in more extended interviews, discussing not just the feud, but also deeper topics: censorship, the evolution of Hollywood, and the value of telling bold stories. These appearances gave fans a level of detail and authenticity they rarely find in a late-night setting. The contrast was stark. While Kimmel read from cue cards in front of a studio audience, Stallone engaged in wide-ranging discussions that felt genuinely spontaneous. Some viewers commented that they learned more about Stallone from a single podcast than from decades of superficial talk show visits. This shift in viewing habits highlights why people increasingly question the relevance of late-night TV. Industry experts took notice. They pointed out that shows like Kimmel's rely on a formula that might be losing its magic. Younger audiences, especially, see late night as outdated when compared to the diverse voices found online. Stallone's feud with Kimmel accelerated these discussions, illustrating how a single viral post can overshadow an entire night of network programming. Yet, in the middle of all this chaos, there's a bigger question. What does this mean for Hollywood as a whole? As the Stallone-Kimmel battle made waves, whispers emerged about how Tinseltown really feels about Stallone's outspokenness. Some speculated that certain studio heads viewed him as a loose cannon. Others suggested that influential executives quietly sided with him. Tired of the late-night formula that has overshadowed nuanced dialogue, Megyn Kelly, a media figure unafraid to call out Hollywood's double standards, weighed in. She slammed Kimmel's approach, describing him as part of a machine that wants to shame or ridicule anyone who doesn't conform. She even replayed clips where Kimmel unleashed profanity-laced tirades about political figures, noting how comedy can become less about laughter and more about forced consensus. Meanwhile, Stallone stayed on course. In interviews, he emphasized that he's not out to attack anyone personally, but to defend the right to creative freedom. He insisted that the openness that once allowed risky scripts to flourish must be preserved if Hollywood is to maintain its role as a cultural trailblazer. Recalling his own underdog days when he fought for Rocky, Stallone painted a picture of an industry that risks losing its soul if it continues shutting out diverse perspectives. All eyes are now on Hollywood's next moves. Will late-night shows adapt, inviting more genuine debate? Or will they double down on controlled narratives, risking a further slide in public esteem? Kimmel, for his part, seems reluctant to change his style. But with viewers flocking to see Stallone's authenticity, the pressure is on. And yet, there's one more twist that could reshape everything. Sylvester Stallone's clash with Jimmy Kimmel began as a quick punchline, but evolved into a spotlight on Hollywood's larger issues: censorship, conformity, and the growing demand for authenticity. Stallone used humor and a lifetime of hard-earned credibility to challenge the late-night formula that too often relies on cheap digs. Meanwhile, Kimmel tried to play it safe, only to realize audiences were hungry for more than predictable jokes. The outpouring of support for Stallone is a testament to how viewers respond when stars break free from carefully managed facades. From his fiery rebuttal to his reality show's heartfelt moments, Stallone demonstrated that an honest, unfiltered voice can make a lasting impact, even against the might of network television. Fans rallied behind him, forcing a bigger conversation about whether mainstream media truly accommodates dissenting perspectives or simply parades them around for ratings. Yet the final verdict on this face-off remains elusive. While Kimmel's ratings dip and his critics grow louder, the late-night industry as a whole could be on the brink of a major transformation. Or it might simply turn a blind eye, hoping to ride out the storm. And here's the real question: if a Hollywood legend like Stallone can challenge an entire system and still thrive, what happens if more stars follow his lead? That answer may change the entertainment world forever. Will late-night hosts adapt and invite genuine discourse, or will they cling to a fading formula, risking even bigger fallout? As for Stallone himself, his next move could be the most surprising yet, because if there's one thing he's proven, it's that he's never truly out of the fight. Stay tuned. The biggest revelation in this feud might still be waiting in the wings.